Hey friends, what's up? Ash here with Gents. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. I'm gonna be sharing with you guys today 10 different fragrances that are worth their weight in gold to me. I like gold. So, gold member, Austin Powers says, maybe before your time. But I got 10 fragrances here that I really love. Got some niche, got some designer. Got the whole gamut here. Do I realistically think that they're worth their weight in gold? Nah, man. Do you see how expensive gold is? Jeez. I'm not paying that much, but it's a figure of speech. So let's jump into it. All right, like I said, designer, niche. You got it all right here. Not sure where to start. I'll just grab one. Mugler Cologne. This is an easy going fragrance. Very, very clean, very soapy, very fresh. I hate my bottle. My bottle is a splash, but I used to have a spray until I used it all. One thing I'm gonna try to do in this video is not be as talky as I usually am, because believe it or not, guys, these videos actually end up running like 30 minutes long before editing. So today we're going faster than usual. Mugler Cologne is a great staple fragrance for spring and summer, and it's so good that Creed even copied it with their fragrance Original Vetiver. Oh wait, no, they didn't copy it. They were completely unique in coming up with that fragrance. I'm just playing, they copied it. But yeah, Mugler Cologne, absolutely love it for spring and summer daytime. Great office scent, and one of the better soapy designer fragrances that has ever been made. It doesn't go too far down that powdery side, so I really enjoy that. Next up, let's do a niche fragrance, and let's go with this one because I reviewed this recently on my Extra Gents Scents channel. So again, a shameless plug for that, Extra Gents Scents. Check it out. I got more reviews up there. I'm concentrating more on that instead of lists. You'll see an occasional list on that channel, but nowhere near like this one. A lot more niche stuff there. So the fragrance is XERJOFF Starlight. And this one has one of the best smelling cardamom notes of just about any fragrance I've ever smelled. The name Starlight makes sense because it has this effervescence, this sparkle, this shine, if you want to call it, in the opening where it just leaps off your skin and has this great freshness mixing together with warm spiciness. Extremely well done. Starlight is one of the top XERJOFF fragrances that I own now. It leaped right up toward the very tippy top. I love the way this stuff smells, and this coming fall and winter, I'm definitely going to be reaching for this one. And also I'm going to be doing a new sample pack pretty soon with twistedlily.com. I think probably in a month or so. And I'm gonna have this one in there. Sampled it at Twisted Lily, bought it at Fragrance by Starlight. Ooh, it's absolutely fantastic. Twisted Lily code, by the way, Gents10, 10% off the entire website. So if you do shop there, ever use that code. And if when my sample set comes out, you wanna buy it, then buy it and use the code Gents10. Let's go back to designers. And this one is from HILFIGER. And it's Impact Intense. I've spoken about this one a number of times because it just surprised me at how non-sucky it is. I'm sure a lot of you will agree with me here, so hear me out, but Tommy Hilfiger just maybe not the absolute tippy top of designer fragrance quality. Would you agree? Now, they have some classic fragrances at this point, but most of their fragrances over the past, call it decade, not very impressive. They came out with Impact, and it was fine for a fragrance that you could get at a discounter and wear casually and stuff, but then Impact Intense, really, really good. Out of nowhere, like surprisingly very good. Now, it has a little gimmick where if you buy the 100 ml size bottle, it has a built-in travel size spray, a very small one, in the cap. If you get the 50 ml like I have, it doesn't come. So you got to get the 100 ml if you want the gimmick. Fragrance itself is very warm, it's spicy, packs a punch, has a little bit of a smokiness to it. Smells a little bit similar to Leighton from Parfums de Marly. So it makes it an excellent fall and wintertime fragrance with great compliment factor. And it smells much higher quality than you would expect from HILFIGER. So designer, we're going to go with Mercedes-Benz Club Black. This is an awesome vanilla designer fragrance. So if you love vanilla scents, check this one out. The vanilla is right there front and center. The problem with this is that lots of people have figured out that it's very, very good, and that has driven the price up at discounters substantially. Because you wouldn't think of Mercedes-Benz as a fragrance company where you have to pay a whole lot. I mean, car company, yeah, you're gonna have to pay a premium, but fragrances, you wouldn't think you'd have to pay all that much. And yet with this one currently, you do. So that sucks. So I guess in a way, this fragrance is like the fragrance equivalent of being worth its weight in gold because it's being driven up price-wise to the point that it's really expensive. And this one is going to catch some comparisons to things like Guerlain's Spiritueuse Double Vanille, which is even more expensive than this one, even at the jacked up price that this is currently sitting at discounters compared to what it used to run for. Back to niche, and we're going to go with DS&DURGA's Amber KISO. I just realized my label on my bottle is like off center. It's like going at a downward slope. It's like a sloth's face in the Goonies. Not a big deal though. That is a rich, deep color to the fragrance. You would think with the name Amber KISO that it's going to be very amber forward, very ambery. So you would think resinous, warm, sweet, good amount of vanilla you would think. And then you give it a little smell, a little whiff from the atomizer. And what do you get? Leather. So you get a bunch of leather. You get this incensey smokiness, a lot of woods, and it has extreme performance, lasts forever, projects very heavily. It's the type of fragrance that is not going to be for everybody. Some people are going to smell this and say leather has got too much punch, too much pop, it's too woody, it's too smoky, it's too whatever. But for people like me that really gravitate toward that style of fragrance, those style of notes, sometimes this really scratches an itch for me. Back to designer and something completely different from Chanel, Allure Homme Sport Edition Blanche. Haven't talked about this one in a minute. The opening of this is really, really great. So you get this lemon, it's creamy, it's sweet, it's fresh. It's been compared a number of times to a lemon meringue pie or a type of lemon cream. And that's a nice way to describe it because lemon can sometimes come across really sharp and abrasive and cutting and aggressive and just kind of stings your nose when you smell it. But instead, this one, much creamier and smoother. So you have a little bit of woodiness in here as it dries down, and then vanilla, which you can pick up right away. The vanilla melding together with that lemon, with that bergamot in the opening, giving you that creaminess, that sweetness that we talked about before. It's a great flanker in the Allure Homme line that just kind of stands off to its side and does its own thing. And I think it's a great release. Niche, again, AMOUAGE Interlude Black Iris. Now, this is a personal favorite of mine that I've spoken about a number of times. My wife loves it as well, so it's a bonus for me. I think it smells better than the original Interlude, which I know is sacrilege for some people, sacrilegious, because the original AMOUAGE Interlude Man is one of the more beloved entries in their lineup. The iris in here is not overdone, but it smooths things out and makes the fragrance more wearable, sexier. It's very dark and mysterious, just like the original Interlude. It still has a good pop, a good punch of incense. That smokiness is still here, but the opening is not as off-putting. The opening of the original Interlude doesn't work for some people. The oregano, as I've spoken about before, in that opening just doesn't do it for some people. And here, that's been stripped away. So the whole thing has been retooled and reimagined and tweaked just enough to take that Interlude DNA and keep it intact, but make the fragrance itself an easier wear. I love Interlude Black Iris. Let's go designer, and we'll go with Gentleman Eau de Parfum. This fragrance right here really helped take this line and kick it up a notch, and it's been kind of riding that high ever since. Gentleman Eau de Toilette came out, and a lot of people didn't really love it a whole lot. It caught a little bit of flack. It's not a terrible fragrance, but it just didn't do it for some people. It didn't hit as hard as they were wanting, I guess. Then the Eau de Parfum came out and flipped the script, and everybody was singing its praises. And now, as far as designer iris fragrances go, for a lot of people, that one is up there with the big dogs. It's up there with Your Homme Intense. It's up there with Your Homme, Valentino Uomo Intense. And with good reason, I would say a lot of people feel that way because the fragrance is great, really good. I'm a sucker for iris though, so keep that in mind. If you don't like that note, specifically when it's used in more of a creamy way, a little heavier way. If you prefer iris being used in a powdery, fresh, soapy kind of way, like something in Prada L'Homme, for example, this is a very different take on that note. So if you don't like it in the more, some people would say lipsticky, makeup-y way, if you don't like that, you may not like this. Great use here of vanilla, Tolu Balsam and Tonka, giving you a multifaceted sweet, but still dark approach to that iris. Has this one just smelling amazing from opening to dry down. So that one I love. Next up, Memo Paris African leather. Still yet my favorite in the entire lineup, the leather lineup of fragrances from Memo, the Queer Nomads line. Queer Nomads. It's the first one that I got, and it's the first one that I ever sampled from the line. I actually bought a decant of this one. I think it was a 5 milliliter decant a number of years ago. I ran through that stuff like that and then bought the bottle. And then I just started buying all of the leather fragrances from the house because I was like, man, African leather is so good. Gotta get these other ones. And some of them I really, really like. I think they're fantastic fragrances. Other ones are a little but still, even after all this time, African leather is still my favorite. And like Starlight, it makes use of cardamom. But the way cardamom comes across here is very different from how it comes across in Starlight. In Starlight, as I talked about, it's got this sparkle to it, this effervescence, this lightness, freshness, along with that sweetness. Whereas African leather is more warm and sweet and spicy, probably a little bit more what people would think of immediately when they think of cardamom. African leather is that type. And even though the fragrance is named African leather, the leather itself is not really all that funky or anything, even though when you think of African leather or Africa, you probably are thinking of, big beating sun coming down and it's all hot and potentially off smelling, but it doesn't come across like that at all. As it dries down, you get some vetiver that comes out, gives it a slight dry woodiness. But the cardamom is the star of the show. That's what drew me in. That's what keeps me there. And every time I smell it, I just think, man, that is absolutely fantastic. Last fragrance, Valentino Uomo, the one that kicked off the Uomo line, which gave us such great fragrances as Valentino Uomo Intense. But Valentino Uomo is still a fragrance that I adore smelling. I got 2 bottles of the stuff, a big, huge backup bottle, and this one right here. For a time, there was a big discontinuation scare with Valentino Uomo and Valentino Uomo Intense, but they just changed the presentation around a little bit, and it's still available, though it's not as easy to find at discounters as it used to be. And this one, like Gentleman Eau de Parfum, is going to draw comparisons to that Dior Homme line. And it does have a bit of a similarity to those fragrances. So it's another one of those situations where if you like Dior Homme, you'll probably like this. If you don't like Dior Homme, you probably won't like this. Yes, there are going to be some people where that doesn't hold true, but for most people it will. And this one has an interesting note breakdown as well. It's got cocoa or chocolate, coffee, leather, and even a bit of hazelnut in there. So it predates some of those fragrances that we're seeing come out nowadays that are using chestnut and hazelnut and notes of that style. Valentino Uomo, kind of forgotten now for people that are just going to your local Macy's and stuff like that, because when you see Valentino, it's Born in Roma, it's Yellow Dream, it's Coral Fantasy. It's not really this one. And yet I would say for my personal taste out of the entire lineup, I'd rather have Uomo and Uomo Intense. Just more my style, I guess. So that one, worth its weight in gold. Especially when it's discontinued in the future and then the price skyrockets. Ugh. All right, guys, that will do it for me. Let me know in the comments some of the fragrances that you love, some fragrances that you think are worth their weight in gold to you. Thanks for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.